What's up, YouTube? So a special day here on the Crisscross channel. We got the Lectric 1.0 Xpedition right here. I'm at my buddy Steve's house, and he helped me put on a new suspension fork. It's the RST guide here. I also got the new Lectric knobby tires on here, the 20x3s. And this is now a rugged cargo e-bike, and I really wanted to do that. It's a shorter tail than the new Xpedition 2.0, so a little bit better for food delivery, I think, which I'm going to use it for. And today I'm going to tell you about the parts we used to make this project happen, and kind of walk you through everything we did to put this suspension fork on this Xpedition 1.0. It's now the rugged cargo e-bike that I really wanted, and I'm excited to show it off for you today. All right, so first we're going to talk about the parts we had to use to do this thing. Some of them are on the table here. So Xpedition 1.0 front fork and the parts. So basically kind of four sections here. We have the RST guide, 156 bucks on Amazon. It's a 4-inch wide axle or fork. You got the headset pieces, the crown race, things like that. That's what this is here. Okay, you can buy this all as one section here. We had to use most of these pieces, not all of them. And we'll talk about that later. The crown race, we had to also put a new crown race on the actual fork, the bottom of the fork itself. We had to get a new axle. So we used the 175 millimeter axle. The old axle nuts don't fit it, so we had to get some new ones. The new axle nuts are right here. So here's the new axle nut, a little bit bigger than the Xpedition 1.0 version that they have there. We've also got, let's see here, and the new axle nut is our M10 by 1.0 millimeter pitch. So for those of you out there who want to buy these, I'll put links to everything on the video description on YouTube there, so you can take a look and go buy these pieces. Back to the fork per second. It has to be 77.25 inches, so you do have to cut the fork. We had to cut about 4.5 inches off the top of that RST guide, and this is what the remnants are right here. Okay, so you do have to have a cutter for that. Where's the cutter, Steve? Right here. Here's the cutter right here. Yep. You just throw it on there and cut it. And on the brakes, we did a new angle bracket because the existing one, which is here, would not fit the new size. So it's a new angle bracket on there. It's a Bucklos PM 180. And we got rotor spacers, which are these right here. Here's the rotor spacers. We had to use two of these. And you had to machine down one of them as well to fit. And you need some axle spacers as well, which are something like this here. These are axle spacers. And that's kind of what you need to make this project happen.
It's easiest to just buy an assortment of M5 screws, different lengths, rather than buy the exact same ones. You can just dig through and pick out what you need, because every bike might be a little bit different.
Yep. And
for the custom size lower bolts on the caliper bracket, this is a kit that I bought from S-Frame, which has the actual stainless steel bracket bolts, and I was able to cut the smaller ones down to fit it to the front suspension fork.
Yeah, we had a problem with the one of the bolts was too big, so the caliper wouldn't fit on, so we had to bring that down. All right, so we just took the handlebars off, and I'm gonna walk you through some of the components here from the top to the bottom, give you a better idea of what we did.
Yeah, at this point, the fork will come right out.
Oh.
There's a little plastic keeper here that's holding it in. Here's your plastic keeper. Here's your inner upper race. And what we did was, this fork has a 30 millimeter base where that steering tube spreads out. So this is where we put the 30 millimeter inner crown race on right here.
Yep.
And we used that PVC pipe to just tap it all the way down till it was seated. We used the original bearings, since there was hardly any wear. This bike doesn't have many miles on it. And then once you put the fork together, put your inner crown race on, your plastic lock ring here, and then we installed the star nut here, which we tapped in with a socket, and it goes down 1/2 inch. And to make sure it's straight, an easy guide you can use is just take the bolt. When you're tapping it down, you got to make sure the bolt is perfectly perpendicular. It's not cocked to the side or anything. If it's cocked like this, that means you're driving the star nut in wrong. So you have to tap the opposite side to bring it back this way. So basically it was driven in with a socket, goes in a 1/2 inch, and it did get a little cocked. I took a little brass punch and a hammer, and I just tapped on the corner till the bolt was totally straight up and down like that. Shin. Put the plastic locking down, stainless steel shim, and the collar. All right, and then we get that as tight as we can by hand. And we put the gooseneck folding stem on here, on the gooseneck, just like that. Now we can start tightening the bearing by putting the cap and the bolts into the star washer. Just tighten it up.
So the star nut will tighten the
Yeah, this
entire fork.
Yeah, what it's doing is it's preloading the headset bearing right now. What I do is I tighten it up to get all the play out. See all the plays out of it now. Then I just back it off about 1/4 of a turn. So you don't unnecessarily load the bearings up and wear them out soon. See, there's no play at all in there. And then we can...
So with more use, the bearings are probably the first things that go on the fork.
Yep. And you always want to check the the star nut too, to make sure that it's not loosening up on you and you're getting play in the headset bearings, because that'll wear them out faster. So at that point, you can start tightening up the gooseneck.
Is there a trick to getting the angle right?
Yes.
What is that trick, Steve?
I tighten it up as close as I can get it where I can still move it around. And then I just bring it up, straighten it out. You can see I do make marks on the bike with a little grease pencil to line it up. There you go. That's all there is to it. So I'd say after probably 25-50 miles, I would recheck that star nut just to make sure it hasn't loosened up. You'll get a rattling noise if it does, but hopefully it never loosens up that much. But you can see there's no play at all, and it moves nice and free.
All right, so here's a look at the axle. So on the right side here, we have the new axle nuts. We've got a couple of spacers here. And this is the axle itself, right, Steve, right here?
That's a stock spacer over
Stock
there.
spacer, okay. And what's this here? That's, is that...
Those are the weatherproof cups.
Okay,
They just keep the moisture out of the hub.
gotcha. All right, here's the right side. So walk us through just, you see the two double spacers here behind the rotor.
Yeah, these are the two double spacers. They originally come threaded. I drilled them out so I can just slip the 5mm bolts right through, and they're Loctite. And I used Loctite when they were torqued into the hub here.
Gotcha.
And that just lines it up perfectly with the caliper.
And there's one spacer in the inside, right there, right?
Yep, there's actually two spacers and a stock washer, which you probably won't be able to see because it's gray.
Yep. And you don't need that hook washer anymore, that,
No,
right?
you can't use those.
So on the outside, you just have the axle nut and then one washer back there?
No washer. The axle
Oh, no
nut
washer. Okay.
is torqued up against the actual fork itself, but there is an indentation, so if this started to loosen up, the axle wouldn't fall out right away. Hopefully you notice it, but that's why the red mark is there.
Yep.
So before you ride, always make sure those line up, and it's always a good idea to just check the torque on both of the axle nuts just to make sure. This is
Okay, finally we have the bracket. Here's the new bracket we had to find. This was kind of hard to find online, so it took us a while. But you can see it here. Here's the new bolt up here. And then the bolt on the bottom is the one we had to cut down. Talk about that, Steve, again, if you could.
Yeah, if you tried to use the stock bolt, the head is too tall. It would hit the actual caliper. So with that caliper mounting stainless steel kit that we showed you earlier, this has the beveled head bolt, which fits just right. There's maybe a 30-second space between the caliper and the bolt head, but it was too long, so I had to cut the bolt down and re-tap it so that it would actually fit properly into the fork here and secure it correctly.
There's just a little bit of space there.
Yeah,
you can see it in the
about a 30 seconds.
close-up. Yep, so very good job there. So one problem we do have, though, is because the bike is taller now, the kickstand is not quite flush. So I did buy a new kickstand. We tried to put it on. However, the right arm over here would hit the chain when it was pulled back, so we couldn't use it. It was a perfect kickstand. It raised it another inch, but it was too long because it hit the chain when you put the kickstand up. So I'm going to basically put some kind of cups down here maybe and try and just lengthen that if I can. That's the one problem with doing this project overall. So one solution to the kickstand problem are these little rubber cups down here that we had lying around. So these don't match, but I have to go to Home Depot and see if I can find some kind of cup, like these foot cups, I guess you call them, and see if that works. So stay tuned.